Your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. The Royal Hobart Hospital is coming under scrutiny from the coroner as an inquest begins examining a suicide attempt within its emergency department. 37-year-old Joseph Latimer died in 2016. The case now to determine what can improve the situation at the trouble-plagued hospital.
On July 10, 2016, Joseph Aaron Latimer was taken to the Royal Hobart Hospital's emergency department after a 000 call expressing thoughts of suicide. What happened next is now being examined at an inquest. The opening day hearing Mr Latimer was assessed as a Category 3 urgent case, to be seen within 30 minutes, the triage nurse believing he was a danger to himself. Counsel assisting telling the hearing, the emergency department was fully occupied with patients waiting and there was no psychiatric emergency nurse on shift. Triage nurse Emma Larning told the inquest Mr Latimer was being regularly observed, but while she was attending to another patient, he moved out of eye line, saying, "At that time, I didn't think he was an imminent risk." But minutes later, she found him in the bathroom asphyxiated. She told the coroner it was a shock to see that. He was resuscitated before being relocated to the ICU, but died 11 days later. The paramedic that took Mr Latimer to hospital described him as calm and compliant at the time. Andrew Sculthorpe saying when he found out about the suicide attempt, he was shocked and quite taken aback.
Counsel assisting said the coroner will examine the sequence of events and what played a role in the death, including staff shortages and availability of mental health beds. The inquest continues tomorrow. Ebony Ablett, 7 Tasmania News.
And if you or someone you know needs support, help is available 24/7. You can contact Lifeline on 13 11 14. A 38-year-old man who allegedly escaped from Risdon prison last month has appeared in court. He is facing escape, stealing and burglary charges. Our reporter Ruby Kamain has more.
An alleged escapee, today facing the Hobart Magistrates Court in his first appearance since he was arrested last month. On the morning of September 23, police received calls that a man had allegedly fled the Risdon prison facility. Authorities conducted mass air and land searches at Risdon Vale and the surrounding areas, continuing into the night and the following day. The area remained in lockdown as vehicles, homes and outbuildings were inspected by police. The 38-year-old was allegedly found just after 11:30 that afternoon in bushland within 3 kilometres of the prison complex. Police allege items were found nearby, including a knife, screwdriver, scissors and a backpack. He was taken into custody, charged with escape, burglary and 2 counts of stealing. The alleged offender today not yet entering a plea for any of the charges. Magistrate Robert Webster today suggested to the man that he should receive some legal advice and adjourned the case to November 21.
As the state braces for a warm week, a total fire ban has been declared tomorrow across southern Tasmania. The state already saw some bushfire activity last week, so now a ban will be in place to stop any further outbreaks. It will be in force from the Huon Valley to the southern Midlands.
So we're asking people not to have any fire in the landscape. Think about what sort of machinery they're going to be using as far as grinders and power tools and lawn mowers. So we're asking to give us 24 hours to try and postpone any of those activities.
Wednesday will be a little bit milder, but then the temperatures are going to jump even higher on Thursday and Friday. We're expecting temperatures to get up around 30 in the southeast, and we may well see another fire weather warning.
Those on the East Coast also reminded of the fire permit period, which begins on Thursday. Tasmania's Children's Commissioner is calling for better regulation of children in care, saying there are significant gaps in Tasmania's current system. Handing down a review of the sector today, the Commissioner said there was a critical lack of accountability to ensure the well-being of young people. She's made 5 recommendations to government, including making it easier for children to have a say in their care and more specialised help for young Aboriginal children.
Children are coming into care earlier and they are staying in care longer, and that increases the responsibility of government to have a system that looks after children and is quality assured.
But we recognise that we need to do more, and this is why work such as this of the Children's Commissioner is very important.
Government said it will consider the recommendations. The personal and often devastating stories of Tasmanians kept waiting for help under the National Disability Insurance Scheme have today been exposed in front of the nation's politicians. Hobart has played host to an inquiry into the trouble-plagued program, but the federal government says it's eager to hear from those who've experienced issues firsthand.
Fighting on behalf of their son, Peter and Beverly Rubenak, pleading for an overhaul of the National Disability Insurance Scheme. For them, it's personal. Last year, their son, 32-year-old Tim, died before receiving new equipment under the program.
Help wasn't going to come. The urgent help that he was promised wouldn't come in time. That's when we lost hope, and now it's a big fight to be able to get things back together.
Their calls for help come as a national inquiry examining the implementation and performance of the NDIS held hearings in Hobart today.
We promised him that we would fight to help other people with to get the NDIS and what they deserved, and he squeezed our hand, and that's what keeps us going, because we'll keep going for his sake, because it's not an isolated case.
The federal government says it wants to hear these stories and is committed to making changes.
In terms of individual cases, this is precisely what we want to know, because we took a system where there was an idea but no detail, and we're now bringing people onto it at a dramatic rate.
But others have been forced to take their pleas for help all the way to Canberra. Jim Frank is losing his sight as he battles cancer, but says it's taken a long time to get the equipment he needs to help see under the NDIS.
It really has made me feel unwell, frightened, scared. Am I going to run out of money? I shouldn't have to live like that.
He's finally been promised help is on the way, but after an uphill battle, he remains sceptical.
Maybe I'm one of the lucky ones and it will come through, but until that happens, it's like you really stress.
Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
New cameras are now watching over Hobart's roads, but it's not speed in their sights. State Growth is conducting a 2-week investigation to identify traffic flow and help congestion-busting projects. It's hoped the information could assist the Hobart Western Bypass study, as well as a 5th lane on the southern outlet. Melanoma sufferers will save thousands of dollars following a pledge by the Commonwealth to list more skin cancer drugs on the PBS. The news was welcomed by doctors, but the Federal Health Minister is still facing pressure over Tasmania's burdened hospital system.
There's a good reason why Jeff Lifshin works with skin cancer.
So I've had a melanoma, Dad's had a melanoma, his sister, my aunt, had a melanoma. My wife's had a melanoma.
Another 15,000 people are expected to be diagnosed this year. Action now from the government, which is adding 2 new drugs to the pharmaceutical benefits scheme.
All up, 260 patients will save on average $128,000 a year.
Support is also on the way for MS sufferers, with 2 medications also marked for PBS listing. That's expected to help a modest number, just 27 patients. But what some are paying is far from modest.
Instead of $28,000 a year, it will be $6.50 a script or $40.30 a script.
Labor supports the changes, but it's still accusing the Minister of ignoring the Launceston General Hospital.
Why has he not said anything about the bed blockages? Why has he not said anything at all when it comes to accident and emergency?
But if you've been dealt a melanoma diagnosis, Dr. Lifshin has a message.
We need to be able to give people hope. We need to be able to tell people, you don't have to die from this. This isn't 20 years ago.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania has edged out New South Wales to become the nation's 2nd best performing economy. Building and home sales have strengthened the state's ranking, according to the ComSec report. Population growth is also at a 27-year high. 2 Tasmanian cricket stars have had their final shave today before growing out their facial hair next month for charity. Taking to the Clippers with a local fundraising team in Hobart to raise money and awareness for men's health.
Sitting back in the barber's chair, ready for the razor, these local sportsmen are shaving off their stubble and starting fresh in the lead up to Movember.
Pumped to be involved, have been involved in the past, but haven't been brave enough to take on the most, so this is probably the year to do it.
The clean-shaven cricketers, pampering their fresh skin for moustaches and beards to take form, spearheaded by local group Hobart Mobros, championing men's health.
Prostate cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer in Australia, and every day we lose 6 men to suicide in Australia. So what the Hobart Mobros are saying is that we've had enough of those statistics.
Something that's quite close to me as well, with mental health in the family. So it's it's awesome to be on board and supporting such a great cause.
And you don't have to grow a mo to get involved in the cause.
We get to do it in a fun way by growing a moustache or pledging to move, take on a certain distance for the month or host a party with our friends. But we're really passionate about making a change.
The Hobart Mobros are aiming to raise $150,000 this year. Ruby Kamane, 7 Tasmania News.
Friday night football will hit Launceston next year when Hawthorn plays Melbourne in a pre-season clash. Footy is also returning to Kingston's Twin Ovals.
Footy fans were right in the thick of it when North Melbourne played at Twin Ovals in 2018. Now Kingston's set to host another fixture in 2020. The Roos will play the Sydney Swans on March 9, a public holiday.
This year we've got 2 games again over the 3-week period. Last year, you might recall, it was over 2 weeks. We extended it back out to make sure that teams get that 7-day minimum break in that pre-season.
Poor weather leading into the last clash at Twin Ovals was blamed for a crowd of just 2,000 turning up. Footy fans will be hoping for ideal conditions when the likes of Ben Brown and Taron Thomas grace the Huon Valley. While March 6 will be an historic date for UTAS Stadium. The clash between Hawthorn and Melbourne will be the first AFL game on the resurfaced ground.
It's been a really interesting exercise, both the pre-season and the home and away, with such an even competition now, working out where to place those games.
Earlier this year, nearly 7,000 fans saw Richmond play Hawthorn in a pre-season clash. Next year's game is also scheduled to be played under lights. The AFLW fixture will be released tomorrow. The men's draw will be announced on Thursday.
Tasmanian Tigers veteran George Bailey says he's happy to be overlooked again for the upcoming Sheffield Shield clash against Victoria. Bailey made way for spinner Bo Webster in the Tigers' loss to New South Wales.
Got some really strong young players coming through, and competition for spots is tough. So I would be a very happy man if the selectors deem that there's young guys who can step up and perform really well for Tassie.
The Tigers host the Vicks at Blunston Arena from Thursday. And entries have closed for the upcoming Sydney Hobart with 170 yachts set to race. It'll be the 4th largest fleet in race history and will include 5 Supermaxis plus entrants from 9 countries. 16 Tasmanian boats will compete. Good luck to all of them, Jo. Hopefully one of them brings it home.
Be good indeed. Thanks so much for that, Tom.
Welcome back. Hobart recorded the state's top temperature today, reaching 21 degrees. Launceston and Devonport 16, Burnie 19. Maximum temperatures hovered a couple of degrees either side of average. Friendly Beaches and Ooze 18, Smithton and St Helens 17, Maria Island 16, Lyowini, Strawn and the Bass Strait Islands all 15, Low Head 14. From the satellite we can see low cloud across the west of the state, high cloud over the east and mostly clear skies elsewhere. Zooming out, that cloud is caused by onshore flow directed by a high pressure system over South Australia. Tomorrow, that high moves to the east with a cold front crossing our state in the evening. On the waters, winds north to northwesterly at around 20 to 30 knots, but lighter about the northwest. Swells building to 3.5 metres in the west and south. We've got a few things to warn you about. There's a gale warning for southwestern coastal waters between Southeast Cape and Low Rocky Point, a strong wind warning for the remainder of the coast, as well as the southwest and central plateau lakes. And there's a fire weather warning for the southeast, east coast, Midlands and upper Derwent Valley. Late showers expected about Hobart tomorrow, a top of 26 degrees, Adventure Bay 23, Tarraleah 21. Launceston cloud clearing 22 the top, Devonport partly cloudy and 20, Bridport 18. Partly cloudy in Burnie tomorrow, 21 degrees. Strawn expecting late showers, a top of 20. Marriwal 18. Mostly sunny but becoming windy in the east. St Helens 24, Swansea 25. Whitemark on Flinders Island 21 degrees. Looking ahead to Wednesday now, mostly fine apart from possible morning showers about the southeast and north coasts. Thursday looking hot in the south and east of the state with fine and partly cloudy conditions. And a mostly fine day on Friday, still hot in the southeast with showers and possible thunderstorms developing about the north and west in the evening. Looking further north tomorrow, a sunny day expected in Adelaide, Melbourne and Sydney. Perth and Brisbane looking mostly sunny. Showers and possible storms in Darwin. And finally, let's take a look at the current conditions and a reminder that there is a total fire ban in the south of the state tomorrow. Jo.
Lovely, thanks very much for that, Britt. Well, before we leave you tonight, twin sisters celebrating their 100th birthday have invited along other twins of all ages to help celebrate. The unique event was held at a retirement village in Western France. It culminated with a flight of pigeons. What a great way to celebrate. That's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening and we'll join you again a little later with updates. Bye for now.